It's 99 JAMZ, K Foxx hanging out with Rome Flynn. Welcome to Miami.
What's the word? What's up? I forgot.
Yeah, you got to talk in the microphone.
Oh.
So what brings you to the MIA? What brings you to Miami?
You know, right now we promoting With Love. We just had our second season come out on Prime Video.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate that.
That show is like a roller coaster ride. It deals with everything that you can possibly imagine with love. Older love, new love, secret love. You know, talk to me about the show and what's your experience like on it.
Yeah, I mean, the
triangle, or the love triangle that you're in.
That's probably the biggest one. But also it's in the name, you know, with love. I mean, it shows the different facets of love. Friendship, you know, the friends all living together, platonic, whatever you want to see. I mean, it's all there. It's been a joy being a part of the show, though. I mean, being a part of a mainly, you know, Latin cast, to play Afro-Cuban, which is dope because I never had the opportunity to do that. Never really get casted in roles like that.
Like
that
are true to yourself.
True to me, yeah.
Okay.
I mean, that's not true to I mean, that's something as an artist like that you have to really actively search to do, though, as an actor too. You know what I mean? I mean, it's thankful that I can be ethnically ambiguous, though. That I can play different ethnicities, but it's always great to be able to play something that feels close to home.
But you are Afro-Cuban.
Yeah.
So we were kind of talking off mic, and I was telling you that I went to Cuba recently with my mom. Mm-hmm. That was one of her bucket list trips. Have you ever been to Cuba?
No, I haven't been there yet.
You got to go.
I mean, yeah.
What are you waiting on?
I'm just grinding. I'm locked in right now. Yeah. I can't take no trip right now, but I want to. It's definitely on my list.
Well, I mean, when I went, I was telling you about my sprained ankle as well. So I went to this J. Cole Dreamville, got knocked down. There was a stampede, and then somebody stepped on my ankle. My friend Yolanda came and saved me. Thank you, Yuji, for doing that. She was my superwoman for the day. And then my ankle's been messed up ever since. 2 days later, I take my mom to Cuba, and I could not go to Cuba and not dance. You know what I'm saying? So it's been sprained ever since, but you got to go to Cuba. There's so much just history there and the spirit of the people, and it's beautiful. You got to go.
Absolutely. I'm gonna go right now.
All right, come on.
That's the interview. I'm out here. He went straight to Cuba from here.
We going to Cuba. Okay, we got to talk about How to Get Away with Murder.
Okay.
I mean, one of my favorite shows.
Mine too.
What was the experience like? First of all, working on the show, and correct me if I'm wrong, but were you supposed to be just like a one-off character, or was it supposed to be something that was ongoing, or did they decide it in the process?
It was one of those things they decided in the process. I mean, initially when I signed on, I came at the end of season 4 at a cliffhanger. At that point, they knew they were coming back for another season, but I knew I was going to come back. I just didn't know if I was going to be a regular or, you know, be a guest star. But the way that I had things set up, the only way I was going to come back was if I was a regular. That's why I joined the show. You know, obviously I wanted to work opposite of Viola and that whole amazing cast. But you just say Viola like it's just whatever, just a regular. Yeah, Miss Viola Davis, man, you know. So signing on was like that. Working with Miss Viola Davis, one of the greatest actresses that I think of all time. But you and everybody else too. Yeah. I mean, we talking about an EGOT winner, man. We're talking about somebody who was acclaimed every award that you can possibly get in this field. And more for me. Not without the work, though. No, I mean, I know, you know, just her story from being around her, but and how she came up and what she went through to be where she is just a testament to her work ethic, but also just to like her resiliency, which we find a commonality amongst like people of color in general. You know, having to always grind and figure it out, and you know, she's kind of probably the catalyst of that for me when I think about excellence or professionalism. I mean, she really exudes all of those things, and for me as a young actor, being on that show and working opposite of her for most of my 5th season was a gift. You know, it was a joy, and thankfully through the whole process I knew that, and I recognized that early on. You know, sometimes we get opportunities in life and we always think back like, man, I wish I appreciated that more. Like, yeah, I knew going into that, you know, I was like, man, this is special. And what did you learn while you were either on set or off set with Miss Viola Davis? Well, from her, you know, Viola, she to me almost was a figure that didn't feel. She was real to me, but she felt like she couldn't do no wrong, and I was just extremely nervous, you know, about working with her just because I didn't want to let her down. I didn't want to do anything wrong. And she quickly humanized herself and made me realize that, you know, the perspective of how people see us or people in general in the public can never be our own. And so the perspective I had of her, because I didn't know her personally, was only what I seen her in and how excellent she is. And so meeting her in person, it just kind of made me realize that we're all just people and trying to figure stuff out, and so is she, and she just happens to do it really, really good. You know,
excellent.
So I learned a lot just from being around her, but also just having scenes with her in between stuff. I mean, the acting stuff, I don't really remember as much. I can go and watch, you know, whatever, but mainly I would take a lot of the conversations we had, you know, in between takes. What things that'll stay with me forever.
Yeah, it's like you got to be present in the moment and realize that you're living in the greatness. In that moment,
man. It's like what if somebody said you could go watch Michael Jackson like figure out how to do the moonwalk? Like,
let me tell you,
you know,
and I'm gonna talk to my mom on this one, because when I was a little girl, my mom told me that she was gonna take me to Michael Jackson concert to go see Bad, and she didn't.
See, that was a big mistake. I ain't gonna lie.
No, but then she made up for it. She took me to go see Janet Jackson.
Well, yeah. I mean, that's great too, though.
That was my first concert.
But yeah.
But speaking of playing roles that are true to yourself, you were also in Dear White People. Yeah. Which is a highly infused, racially driven show, which I love, because it's like, put everything on the table. Let's talk about it. What was it like working on that show for you?
It was great. I just feel so lucky that I have these opportunities to join shows toward the end of their tenures. You know, it's this kind of ongoing running joke. Whenever I join a show, people think it's about to end.
Like, it's
about to wrap it up, you know. But I think it's more of like, let's get this guy in to have a good send off. Because when I get there, it's about to be over with if that's the case. But
it was a 4th season, correct?
4th season. Okay. Well, it might have been a 5th or 4th. I don't remember which one.
Well,
but
towards the end.
It was the last season that I did. So you know, I went in for that, and I met with Justin, who created the show, for season 2. And that ended up working out, and then so I was like, man, I really wanted to be on this show before it ended, and you know, I had the opportunity to work with, you know, Antoinette, who's also on the show, and it was dope. You know, me and her being friends and also having scenes was like cool.
But when you're talking about such racially driven issues, right, on set with like Caucasian people, did it ever get intense, or did like art ever imitate?
No,
you know?
I mean, you know, the show is really in perspective of how we see things, but a lot of the creatives around us it was a melting pot of a diversity. You know, it was a diverse group. You know, and by that time it's a well-oiled machine. You know, so it wasn't any of those moments where we felt like, oh, this is kind of weird. A lot of white people here and a lot of black people here saying this and that. It was like we all understood what we were doing there, and I mean, I think that was one of Netflix's most popular shows once they just started to make original content. So it was an important show for that reason too, because I mean, it was a predominantly black cast, and it did really well, and it ran its course.
If you haven't seen Dear White People, go watch it. It's amazing. But I don't know if you guys know, but you are an Emmy award winning actor. And it's so crazy, because I don't know if you ever heard of the actress Susan Lucci. It's like she was in one of those daytime shows as well. You were in Bold and
Beautiful.
Exactly. And she was in another type of show like that. And she had never won an Emmy. It was like a running joke for her. And you have an Emmy in this stage in your career. I mean, what does that feel like?
You know, it's just right place, right time, right situation. I think the first season I was on Bold and Beautiful, I really didn't know what I was doing, honestly.
What do you mean?
Meaning like just my first time being a part of a show as a contract actor, and they do it like contract there. So I was in my first year, and I had done some films, but I hadn't done that kind of work continuously. And specifically, you know, soap work is a different kind of art and a different kind of approach.
Is it like live to tape, or like?
It's not live, but we tape everything, and it's, you know, it's a lot of work. It's a lot of, you know, dialogues, like 40 pages sometimes. It's really whatever you make it to be. It's one of those shows that airs every day. You know what I mean? So it's constantly, you know, they're knocking these episodes out. But joining that show with such a huge fan base, it's the most watched show in the world.
Wow.
You know, every year they go to the Monaco Film Festival, and they win the award for, you know, most watched show, and it's not even a debate. We always go, or when I did, because we always knew we'd win, because it was the most watched show internationally. So that was one thing I felt I had the opportunity to grow internationally as an actor, but also kind of stay stay under the blanket of the United States and kind of around those countries' gaze, because I didn't become super famous like in the States, but I was well known like internationally. So I got to kind of learn and figure it out along the way. And winning an Emmy was in my second season there, and just a lot of changes that happened. I had started being mentored by Oba Babatunde.
Okay.
I don't know if you know who that is, but I mean, he's been in basically everything. He played Barry Gordy in Dreamgirls. He was in Life. He played the old guy that was in the wheelchair in Life in the beginning of the movie. Have you seen that? And he's telling a story. He's actually the narrator. He's telling a story of Eddie and Martin. But anyways, he just kind of helped me understand what my purpose was being there, you know. And I think once I figured that out.
So what was your purpose in being there?
Well, initially, like I said, I was going to work and not really like thinking about that it was important that I was there. And then another character that was on Young and the Restless, who passed away, his name was Christoph, pulled me aside and he's like, man, I recognize your work. You do great work. And it was cool to have that moment because he had been on TV for forever and in that soap world, and him telling me that was cool. But he also told me, you know, you have a huge responsibility. Like you in a lot of people's homes, and you can probably count how many people of color are even on this show on your hand right now. And I was like, man, that's right. And it made me just think about it completely different. And the whole story on how I actually won the Emmy, you know, just summarizing it real quick, I had a huge arc, right? I didn't have a lot of arcs in the seasons that I had, but I had an arc in this season. And
what do you mean an arc?
Like a character arc.
Okay.
So it'd be like a stretch of like 8 to 10 episodes.
Like give it that to layman's terms.
Yeah, my bad. It's like a stretch
for the
of
regular people.
A stretch of 8 to 10 episodes where it's centered around my character, and it's like a huge storyline, right? But I had some ideas, and like I started, you know, writing for my character. And so I went to CBS and I was like, yo, I think it'd be dope if we did X, Y, and Z, if we did something different here with the dynamic between me and Oba, who was playing my stepdad in the show. And that's kind of unheard of, you know, to come and say, I want to have a storyline change sort of thing. But we were also at the point in my career there where they wanted me to resign. And so I think I kind of used that to my leverage to go, you know, let me see how much I can actually pull in this situation and see if they'll allow me to have some kind of freedom to kind of explore this idea that I had. Yeah. And so they called everybody in. We sat down, my cast members, and thankfully they were all on board, and they said, you know, okay, cool, yeah, we'll do that, you know. And I think it was kind of with a wink, like in hopes of like, you know, remember this when it's time to sign again, you know, you feel me?
Because you were like, well, let's hope this works too.
Well, I was confident it was gonna work. You know what I'm saying? I was confident what I felt I was doing, but at the time I was the only young black guy on that show, you know what I'm saying, and a person of color. And so I knew it was super dope that I had the opportunity to kind of rewrite those scenes, and then I did. We ended up doing those scenes, and they got received really well. You know, fast forward to when at this point I'm off of the show already. You know, I had decided not to kind of renew my contract there. I wanted to just do other things, and they came and said, hey, you know, we're going to submit your scenes earlier from the season between you and this actress Rain Edwards that I worked with at the time. And I was like, no, we got to submit the scenes that I wrote. Like, we can't like not submit those. I don't even care if I get nominated, but
that's a lesson learned for a lot of actors that want to be where you are. You got to speak up.
You got to take risks. I mean, the only way you got where you are, if you're an actor, if you end up on TV, is because you took some risks. Just don't get comfortable. You got to continue to take those risks, and that doesn't mean you're gonna win an Emmy. But at the end of the day,
that doesn't mean you're gonna do what he did. But
you know, but you'll definitely not do it if you don't, you know, take the risk. And so they said, yeah, we don't care. Like, whatever, we'll submit those scenes that you did. And ultimately I got nominated, and I was like, wow, this is crazy. Like, I didn't even care about winning. The fact that I was nominated, I felt kind of already did the job to me.
And then once
I won, I didn't have nothing written. I was just kind of like I thought it felt like I was getting punked or something. I was like, looking around, they like, get up there. I'm like, damn, you know, I'm walking up to the stage. I'm like, I don't know what I'm about to say. But it was a moment I'll never forget. It was very validating, and just, if you ask, I was asking God in the universe, like, man, show me like what I need to be doing. It was like, it can't get more clear than that.
Where's the Emmy now? Where do you keep it?
It's at home.
Where? Like,
it's on my mantle. I have some other stuff next to it. I got some space up there though. I need to add some more
Absolutely.
I
think another show that you were in that actually loved this show, Raising Dion.
Yeah.
Just having like black superheroes and this little, I love that show. What was it like working on Raising Dion?
It was a special show, man. Well, you know, Michael B produced that, right? And he also
was in it.
He was in the first season.
Yeah.
And so me and him had conversations like in the past, and I remember just flagging him at this GQ thing, and I was telling him how I felt his decisions as far as films and stuff he was doing, I thought they were amazing. He was like, man, he had watched, you know, How to Get Away, and like we was just like, you know, kicking it or whatever. He's like, man, I got some stuff coming up, man, I'm gonna keep you in mind for, you know, and that's really how you do it to move things forward. Him being a part of producing that, definitely bringing me on board was a big deal, you know what I mean? And so everyone thought we was gonna have scenes together, you know, once they announced that I was on there.
It would make sense.
And I'm like,
right?
yo, Mike, like come do one episode at least. But I think he was preparing to do Creed or something like that, so he just didn't make it out there. But I mean, it was incredible to do that show and to be a superhero. I mean, it's a dream. Like, you know, it's very, very rare, obviously, that statistics of actors, right, who actually work, and then there's an even smaller pool of actors who have the opportunity to do shows or movies like that, and really they only center around like a Marvel or DC, and so like as you notice, it gets smaller and smaller, the percentage of actors who are doing them, and then the percentage of people of color who are doing those are even smaller. You know what I mean? It's probably less than 1%.
I love Raising Dion because it gave it people of color another outlet.
Yeah,
to be
absolutely.
Superheroes, right?
Yeah, because we needed to see that, you know, and it was cool working with Josiah Young, who's very much a kid. You know, a lot of times I work with actors or certain actors who also children. They don't even act like kids. You know, they're like kind of little adults, but he was actually a kid, which was a challenge at times on set. You know, because if you've ever been on a set, you know, after a couple hours, 6 or 7 hours, people ready to go home, and you know he's out there throwing rocks and skipping water. And
well,
you know what I'm saying?
You have a daughter, correct?
I do.
How old is she?
Yeah, she's 8.
Did she watch your work and like?
She did.
Was she like, oh,
this
that's
was like,
you, Dad? Like
one of the first things she was able to really watch me in, honestly, because everything else I was like, I can't really let her watch How to Get Away. You know, all these other small things I've done, mainly been drama related, but this was cool. You know, this definitely one of the most I guess important roles that I've done, just because I just became instantly cool to all of my, you know, my daughter and her friends and my nephews and nieces. Everybody thought I was. Well, it didn't become real to her until I did something like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Besides that, it was like, oh, whatever. You know, but she watched it and she enjoyed it.
That's dope. I love all of that, and you being able to like create your own narrative in the roles that you want to play, like setting the precedence now.
Yeah.
You know, for your future acting roles, your future endeavors. But not only are you an actor, well, actually, I want to kind of get back into how you started acting in the first place.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean,
like,
yeah.
What made you want to take that risk? Because it's not easy.
Yeah, I think it was something that I felt just driven and drawn towards. I think in our lives, we have those moments, and they maybe don't come often, but I do think that everybody has that moment where they feel a calling to something. It's unfortunate sometimes our circumstances don't really allow us to explore those things, but you know, and that was the situation for me too. But at the end of the day, I wasn't gonna not pursue it. You know, I was gonna figure it out. And so ultimately I ended up doing like a open casting thing, you know, that was.
Where were you, in LA at the time?
I wasn't Illinois at the time.
Okay.
And so I went to.
Where you originally from?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I went to open casting thing there, and it was like, you know, do you want to act? Do you want to sing? And all these other things. And I was like, I didn't really go for acting. I went for singing because that's what I was doing. I was making music at the time.
So was that your first love?
What was my first intro to, you know, making art, you know what I mean, and expressing myself that way. But my first love was basketball, but you know, that's another form of art too. You know what I mean? But I ended up doing that and doing really well in that. And I was like, maybe this is something I could actually pursue. I got invited to do like a casting thing in Orlando. And so I went out there. It was like a pool of 100 plus people. I ended up doing really well. And ultimately, nothing came from that specifically, but it showed me a different path or a life that I felt like I could chase. And so when I went back home, I was like forever changed. I was like, damn, I need to get back to doing whatever that was. And so I started pivoting and making my decisions to kind of lead my way to possibly going to LA and pursuing this like full time.
Okay. But that takes a lot. Like that's, you got to be fearless in order to do something like that. But the acting thing is going, and then at what point do you say, I want to go ahead and be an R&B singer? Because you have the album, Keep in Mind, right?
Yeah, my song. That's one of my biggest songs. Keep in Mind. It's always in the presence of how I'm feeling. Like I never feel pressured to do anything as far as acting or music. It's always been flowing organically for me. And it can be frustrating though for fans because they want a consistent stream of music and they want more.
What's the next project?
Yeah,
what
yeah.
we doing?
You know, once you start doing something, they want to, But the thing is, with art is you have to give it room to grow and for it to really be great or to matter to anybody or even to me. And so when I was doing Raising Dion, I was also filming my project or recording my project and trying to make time and doing these things. But, I realized that I was robbing myself of the opportunity to really be present in the moments I was in. So now, like, although I love music, it's like a different part of my brain. Like I'm on set, if I'm filming something, I don't think about a note. I don't think about anything, besides what I'm there to do. And I feel it makes me appreciate my work even more. Sometimes have you ever been driving and like you get to your destination, you like, how did I even get here?
Yeah, because your mind is somewhere else.
Exactly.
But this is where you're going.
You almost feel like you've been asleep the whole time, and I felt like I was asleep at the wheel just doing these amazing things, but also not being present to appreciate them. And so now I make sure that I take the time to appreciate whatever it is, whatever season I'm in. And I'm gonna have a season for music while I'm appreciating that. And ultimately, there's going to be a give and take. I look at it as like a string. You pull one side of it, the other side is gonna get shorter. You know what I mean? And so there's always going to be a sacrifice at some point.
Well, I know ladies want to see you do everything. I know
trying.
That you're doing. So talk to me about what's next. What's next? What's next for you?
Well, right now, I'm just appreciating the moment I'm in with Love. Season 2, I think it just can't be understated, the importance of like a show like this getting a second season. This was the first time I was a part of a show from its conception, and that was, deliberate because I was taking jobs of shows that I really wanted to be a part of, and I was turning down certain jobs that were at the beginning of their stages, and I was like, nah, not that. But this felt right. It felt like the next progressive step for me to take, and it represented a lot of values that I hold to myself as an artist. And I'm like, man, doing a show from the beginning, like you don't know how people are going to integrate into the show and if they're gonna like it, if they're gonna, it was a whole new experience for me, which was really cool. And now people watch the second season and they in my comments arguing with each other about who my character should be with, who Lily should be with, and I got to really see that from them planting the seed and it growing. But we'll see how far we can take it.
Now, you're talking about the characters, but yeah. I'm sure that they're trying to get at you in real life.
They're doing that too.
What the DMs looking like? What is going on? Are you dating anybody right now?
No, I'm not. I'm chilling.
Do you even have time to wrap your head around that?
You make time. I mean,
you make time for what you want to make time for.
You make time for that. But at the end of the day, yeah, I mean, ultimately, we all want to find companionship. We want somebody to share the things with that we're going through, and the goods and the bads and all those things. And yeah, I want that for sure. But I'm not in a rush to put myself in a position to not fully be who I am to somebody. And right now, I'm really devoting my time to my craft and my art because it really does fulfill me.
But then you still want to go out, have fun.
Yeah, I do. I mean, I still do that too.
Affection.
Yeah, we need that. We need that for sure.
Human.
We do. We need that. We need human touch. That's like we can't live without that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
He's good. Rome Flynn, the music, are you working on anything anytime soon for our fans?
Definitely.
That want to know?
Yeah. I got my project's done. I did it with, I don't know if you know this guy, man, he's super talented. His name's Friday. He was on the record Friday? With he did the God Did record.
Yep.
He basically
shouts to DJ Khaled.
Yeah, he wrote a lot of the hooks and did a lot of the background stuff for my records that I got coming out. And it's a process. Again, like I said, it's tough because I gotta allow these things that I've already put equity in to go out into the world. It's like you got a little daughter and you don't want to rush the process of them growing. I'm like seeing with Love grow, and I want it to blossom. And then once that is in a place that I can feel like, okay, I'm gonna focus on something else, and music's gonna have a season definitely. But I'm definitely working on stuff.
Well, everything has its season. With Love streaming right now, the music is coming very soon. And ladies, he is checking his DM.
I am sometimes.
He is checking his DM. K Foxx, Rome Flynn, 99 JAMZ.